You can support this podcast and get shows early and ad-free, as well as bonus episodes over at patreon.com/flashback64. Everyone, welcome to another episode of Flashback 64, the chronological Nintendo 64 podcast. I'm Gooey, joined as always by McKenna.
Hello.
And today we've been covering a lot of ground this year. We went a few years and we had not talked about any of the Japanese exclusive N64 games, and now this year we're on our second one, so we're making up for lost time, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about Puyo Sun today, which I'm really excited about. And I'm really excited because we have a brand new guest on the show. So welcome to Flashback 64, Gamma. What's up, Gamma?
Hello, it's me. Yeah, hello. Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, great. It's been nice. You know, we've been talking for a while, getting this episode together. And you've also give me a lot of tips for a lot of things for potential episodes. So
yeah, N64 is like really exciting. Like, you know, there's a lot of really cool stuff that's been happening as of late, you know, with ROM hacks and homebrew and, you know, all these kinds of things have been popping up. And, you know, with the release of the analog and, you know, the the M64, all these things that have been popping up, there's more of a resurgence and interest in it than I feel like there ever was, you know? So it's really exciting to, you know, seeing that, like, you know, people are, you know, playing through the games again, revisiting them, you know, trying them out. They haven't really done this before. You know, for the longest, these games were super expensive and like hard to find, but stuff like NSO has made it more accessible, I feel, to like a whole new audience of people who have played these games before. So it's really fun.
Yeah, and so actually, speaking of, one thing we like to do to kind of introduce everyone to our brand new guests is just ask, what is your kind of what's your like earliest encounters with the Nintendo 64? Like, what's your story with the Nintendo 64?
I didn't grow up with an N64 like when I was like really young. When I was really young, I did. But I remember seeing. I remember, you know, I visited a barber shop and there was somebody playing Mario Kart 64 in the back of the barbershop, and I was like, huh, that's really interesting. Like, they've got that, you know. I remember going to like McDonald's and trying out Mario 64 on the kiosk. I thought that was really fun. Like, I remember, like, I tried that out, and I was like, this is really odd. I'd played the game before, but it wasn't until like a bit later, when I was like in middle high school, like N64 nostalgia was just starting to sort of take off. Like, Banjo-Kazooie was a game that I hadn't been very acquainted with. But, you know, I had been listening to a lot of the music, and a lot of it like was a huge. I produced music on the side, and it was a huge musical influence for me, like Grant Kirkhope stuff. And I was like, oh, I love the music of this game. I want to try the game out. And it was just after, like, you know, a lot of people were like really upset over nuts and bolts. And I was like, you know, I think I should get it. I think I should try this out. I should look into this. And I did. I purchased the N64 like secondhand off eBay, and then I got a copy of Banjo. And you know, I knew some buddies in high school who, you know, they had some N64 games they didn't need, so I had a copy of like Ocarina and Mario Kart 64 and a few other rare titles. And through that, I kind of got into it and I was like, oh, this is really cool. I like the novelty. I really like the novelty. It was a lot of fun.
That would have been a great time to get into it, because it's like
cheap.
Just yeah, it's like new. It's old enough that like people have moved on, but not old enough to where it was like
it's like
super nostalgia yet.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was really cool. And now I did eventually sell the console, but I did eventually get one back during the pandemic. And that's when I learned about the EverDrive. And with the EverDrive, I learned about flash carts, and I learned about the homebrew scene, which had just started taking off. You know, it just took off. I think N64 Brew just had their first game jam, And I thought, I was like, this is really interesting. And, like some ROM hackers like K's Emmanuel, like he had just produced like, I believe he finished up, I don't remember which hack he finished, but there was something that he'd finished. And I was like, I want to try that out. And so I did. And I was like, oh, there's a lot of cool stuff that I didn't even consider, which also led me into the Japanese exclusives. Those I had zero familiarity with. And so I saw these and I was like, oh, nobody ever talked about these. And nobody ever really played, or, these are kind of undocumented, like hidden gems, I felt. So it was really cool to dive into that and see, wow, this is going to be something really crazy. Like just jumping in and trying something completely unexplored from my end.
Yeah. And so both the things you mentioned, kind of, those were sort of my follow-up questions, was like, you have also yourself been involved with like homebrew games and stuff like that. Like, how'd you get into that? And like, I guess tell people about like some of what you've done.
Well, I'm an animator. I come from a art teacher, animator. So my background is mostly in film and cartoons and things like that. But for the N64, I just thought it would be really fun to like actually like make some software for it. I was enamored by Crom, Crash Override. They made some video ROMs. Rasky. They all made some really cool video ROMs for the N64. Got some SpongeBob episodes running on it. There's a really cool Bad Apple Tech demo. The intro to like Haruhi Suzumiya. Like all these things are like on the N64 and they're out there. I actually uploaded them all to Internet Archive, put them all in a nice little zip. But they're all out there, and it's really, really cool seeing. I always wanted to see like really cool visual styles on the N64, and I was always enamored by 2D on the N64 because it was known as a 3D console. Everybody knows it's a 3D console, but seeing the capabilities for 2D that it had, I thought it was really interesting. So I actually decided, I was like, I'm going to try it out. I made a game with a few other people, Pepsi Man, Brozilla, Eric Box. We put together Fanger's Lightmare back in 2022. It's just a little Qbert clone. We kind of, we were starting out. I was just trying to figure out like how it all worked. I thought like doing black and white textures would allow for us to make larger textures and things like that. Then 2023, I did the Summer Game Jam. I didn't submit a game that year, but I was with a team and we were going to make a game called Scoop Slingers. It was about like, launching ice cream through catapults, and it's going to be the theme that year was summer. Then last year we did Hydra Harmonics for like 2024. It's a game where you play as like a little Hydra and you like grab a bunch of notes. And then this year we did a game, Robo Renovators or Robo Renovations. And I just wanted to kind of like push, like add like things like skeleton tools and, really cool like 2D animation tools that I don't see. But, it's so funny. Like when I got in, it was small. Now thanks to like people like Hail to the Dongo who produced Tiny 3D and just recently released Pyrite 64. Thanks to those guys, they've like made like a huge push in making N64 development like more accessible than ever. Boo342, admin, community manager of N64 Brew. He's one of the figureheads behind LibDragon, which is the it's like the game it's the open source development kit for N64 Homebrew. And it's really cool. Because the N64 is a hard console to develop for. I don't know if you've heard any anecdotes from anybody, but a lot of developers struggled with the N64 because, it was designed by an American company, but a lot of the developers were Japanese. And, it was early 3D, technology. There were so many crazy hangups. The PlayStation was so much easier to develop for, and you weren't like limited by like space or anything like that. But the developers that could work with it, they were geniuses. Factor 5, Rare, but I'm rambling. There's a lot of really cool stuff outside of homebrew. Though I also wanted to see a few N64 games in English. I wanted to see a few N64 games in English. So I actually brought over AI Shogi 3. I really wanted to see Bengayo, Bakuratsu Moteke Bengayo. I wanted to see that one in English. They had a Dreamcast translation. English was goofy, but I wanted to get a start. So Fanger's Lightmare, AI Shogi 3. Those are all my sort of like my entry points into like figuring out like the N64 texture limitations, like all of that.
Cool.
But a huge shout out to Zoinkity, who also handled the translation for Puyo Puyo Sun 64. He handle the translation. He used Puyo Nexus's PC translation as a base, added some slight changes. The logo's different. There are some slight changes. He added voice acting to the game, which wasn't there in the Japanese version. He added the voice acting.
Crazy. Yeah. Okay.
It's really cool. Wow. There's a lot of, he did amazing stuff because the voice acting was added in the, there was another port of Puyo Puyo's Son for the PC that did have the voice acting. N64 didn't have voice acting originally, and not for that one, but he was able to backport it into the game. So really cool, really cool.
Well, that's cool. Yeah. So I feel like the Bengayo, like that came out earlier this year, I believe, right? That translation that was that caught a lot of people I know's attention. So
real quick, I also want to shout out Dead Snare. Because he released his translation a few days after mine. We didn't know we were working on another translation, but I really want to shout him out. We collaborated and we put together sort of like a fusion patch. Both translations are really, really good. I like my translation, but I also like his translation. We both kind of give it a different approach. But I don't think there's any right way to play the game. I definitely prefer I try them both. The game isn't that long. You can swap between the two, use the save files.
Okay. Like to hear there's no animosity here. That's good. Yeah. I think you both are trying to get the game out to more people.
It was amazing that more people got to play Bengayo because it's a fun game.
That's definitely a game.
Spoilers for Bengayo, but it's a fun game.
Yeah, we're definitely going to get to that one. Obviously, I mean, we're really into Treasure, so that'll be another Japan only game that we'll cover. So that'd be exciting. And I mean, we haven't covered anything homebrew wise. So McKenna, I feel like we'll have to. That's a whole nother realm for us to explore.
Mm-hmm.
So, everything James Lambert makes is amazing. Like everybody, he's the Portal 64 guy.
Word. Okay.
He made Portal 64, and every single year he produces something amazing. Like he did Telelocation Gemini was like his first. It was like a platformer, a 3D platformer, and it controls better than some retail 3D platformers, in my opinion. Because it's more like a puzzle platformer, like Captain Toad. But my favorite of his was like Mission Lost Control. It's sort of like a weird RTS, kind of like Splatoon thing. It's really fun. I like playing that one. But he also did Junk Runner 64. That game looks gorgeous.
I've seen some stuff of that.
Yeah, it looks almost like a 3DS game. Like it looks like a 3DS game. It's like but yeah, no, he makes amazing stuff. But everyone's making amazing stuff. That's why I really, I'm really loving that. So many entries this year, more than there ever were before.
That's why, I'm glad that we were able to link up because I feel like with both these things, homebrew and translations, you've pointed me into some good directions for us to play and to talk about on the show. So it's great to have you on board.
Thank you. I wouldn't call myself like the number one expert, of course, but I am a huge fanboy, and I even say that on the server. I'm kind of a big fanboy of like all the crazy experiments that everyone's working on. So I would be happy to point you in the direction of like the actual developers and get them on if they want to talk. I guarantee that some of them would be like honored to be like on the show.
Oh, that'd be awesome too. Okay, well, sweet. This has been a very productive episode so far. So 12 minutes in. So before we jump into the game, I don't have much for this, but we normally do a flashback segment where we tell people what was going on at the time the game came out. So this was in October 1997 that Puyo Puyo Son launched. And like I don't have as much because I did pull the charts, the music charts in Japan at the time this was released, and not unlike America, the number one song was "Candle in the Wind," because this was like right after the Princess Diana stuff, and this just makes me nostalgic for the Candle in the Wind era of our podcast. It's been a minute, McKenna.
Yeah, I guess it has now.
We've come so far. Gamma, do you have any words for Candle in the Wind, or do you have any memories of Princess Diana? We like to get people on the record here,
I don't, but you know
That's
what?
Okay.
I instantly just looked up something that came out in 1997.
What's that?
Animator Me comes out. It's not an amazing movie, but the 97 A Christmas Carol came out with Tim Curry as Scrooge. I never saw that. I don't think it was good. I don't think anybody saw it. I think it was the direct-to-video, but it came out in October 97. So there you go.
Okay, I don't remember that one, actually.
It was made by Deke. Whoopi Goldberg, Ed Asner,
Tim
shit. Curry.
All right, add that to the queue for this Christmas weekend. Well, actually, speaking of movies, the number one movie at the box office in Japan at the time, and as an animator, you'll probably like this, Princess Mononoke.
In a time when gods walk the earth, an epic battle rages between man and the gods of the forest. Now, the fate of the world rests on the courage of one fearless princess.
I'm not afraid to die, and I would do anything to get the humans out of here.
And one brave warrior.
What exactly are you here for?
To see with eyes unclouded.
You cannot alter your fate, however. You can rise to meet it if you choose.
Princess Mononoke.
That was 97.
Well, so it was number one for like the majority of it was like the number one movie that year, I believe. Like a lot of weeks it took number one.
Most Ghibli movies were like number one when they released. Like outside of like maybe like I don't think Totoro was, but every other film after Kiki, like they were all pretty good. Like after a point, I don't know how well Earthsea did. But I know all the other films did pretty well.
We'll have to do something on that eventually. We love that movie.
Yeah.
So
a Ghibli marathon,
Yeah, Scott, yeah. So the only other thing I really wanted to mention before we hop into the game was just that. So this was October 97. This is what I could see as it looked like the first puzzle game on the Nintendo 64 in Japan. And in North America, in August of 97, we got Tetrasphere, which apparently did not come to Japan. So there was like a puzzle game wall here.
Stuff like Puyo Puyo, stuff like Panel de Pom, like when we got those games, they were all localized with like different titles. We got Puyo Puyo as Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. That's what we got. We didn't get Puyo Puyo. We didn't get Panel de Pon. We got Pokemon Puzzle League,
So you're saying, the puzzle games were more relegated to their region? Is that?
Yeah, it was. Okay. It was weird. Like we didn't get them as original IP. We always had to get like something attached to them for them to sell over here. It was really odd. Because I think like there's plenty of charm in like Puyo Puyo and like a lot of other similar puzzle games. Like they've got like a really fun. They don't seem like they'd be too out of place in the Nintendo pantheon or like any other like quirky, Japanese developer. It wouldn't be out of place like a Namco or a Konami, but I guess like tastes were a little different. So it was. I think like there was still kind of like a hesitancy towards games that were like very, very, I guess regionally specific or like had like very like specific like aesthetics, I guess. Like that's always what I always saw. Like you saw like the marketing for like how they marketed like Goemon or Mischief Makers, right? It's like very insane. It's like Mischief Makers, like they gave him like bug eyes and had some guy in a taxi like talking about the game.
That is a crazy commercial.
Like how would you market Puyo Puyo in America? I'm sure like that's what Compile was probably concerned about.
Yeah, and on the flip side, I feel like Tetrasphere is like and we'll talk about this with Puyo Puyo, but I feel like it's like, look at these crazy new graphics, 3D and everything. So
it's a very like
3D,
chunky
2D divide.
Yeah, the 3D 2D divide is pretty real.
It's like very chunky, like 3D graphics. Like the look of that game, like it looks like the Mind's Eye. If you ever saw the Mind's Eye, it looks like it's like it looks like a tech demo. Like, but it's good. It looks cool, but it's a very like very American look. I think.
We love that game on the show. We're big
I love
Tetrasphere
heads. It's a lot of fun.
Puyo Puyo-san is a falling block puzzle battle game where players guide falling pairs of Puyo into groups of 4 or more, clearing them and sending nuisance Puyo to the opponent's side. It is the third entry in the Puyo Puyo series. This game introduces the Sun Puyo, which increases the quantity of nuisance Puyo sent to the opponent when cleared. Sun Puyo drop when the player clears waiting nuisance Puyo by creating combos. In the single-player mode, you'll choose the easy, medium, or difficult path, each with a different character and story. In each, you'll see how characters deal with the extreme heat brought upon by Satan, who has enlarged the sun to get a tan so he can attract the ladies. The game also has a versus mode, an endless mode, a tournament mode, and multiple mission-based modes.
Very nice, McKenna. So, yeah, this game, it originally released in arcades in December of 96. Then it got ported to the Sega Saturn in February of 97. And then our N64 version that we got in Japan, October 1997. And then there were later releases to PlayStation, Windows, Game Boy Color, PS3, and then like a D-make for Sega Genesis Mini 2, which was like in the last few years that was released. So quite a lot of consoles. Yeah. You mentioned it earlier, Gamma, but this was developed and published by Compile. And you were talking about, like some of the regional differences. This is like their Compile's like big series, it seems, although they worked on different genres. And including the game that Puyo Puyo was spun off of, which I didn't even really realize this until recently, Monogatari, if that's correct.
Yeah, I believe that's Monogatari, yeah.
It's an RPG like series, and they took like the characters from that and made Puyo Puyo, like using their, likenesses. Yeah.
In a way, like there are a few like franchises like that where like the characters are spun off from like a different franchise and then put into a puzzle game, like Puzzle Fighter from Street Fighter, like they have like the Street Fighter. But I guess like this is like one of those like what if scenarios where like, well, the puzzle IP got more popular than like the main IP.
It's kind of strange, yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta admit, like I didn't know that until like somewhat recently. In fact, I actually, so you mentioned in America, like when they brought it over, it was usually there was Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, and also Kirby's Avalanche was Puyo Puyo. So it feels like they probably were like, how do we convey this like this RPG world that's Japan only? Like, will they get it? I feel like that's probably part of it.
They did it. They eventually did it. They it's funny, this and Puyo Party. This and that game are sort of like the last, as far as I'm aware, like they're sort of like the last ones that are done in the traditional kind of classic Puyo Puyo style, because Compile went out of business like very shortly after this game. They didn't go out of business. I apologize. No, they sold the IP to Sega shortly after this game.
Right. Yeah.
And Sega, they reinvented the IP. I mean, it's still the same gameplay, but if you look at like the later games, like Puyo Puyo Tetris, I feel like is the one that a lot of people kind of like start with now. Like, because it was on the Switch, big console, very easy to like access. The demo's free. But Puyo Puyo Tetris, like in all the subsequent games after like Puyo Puyo Fever, which came out on like the GameCube, those have like a very like radical, like stylized like look. Very graffiti-esque. Kind of like indicative of, like Jet Set Radio or like any like those big kind of like funky games. It's a very funky style. This one's a little more of a, it's still cute, but it's kind of like it's more of like a traditional kind of like sprite aesthetic, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do. I think I like the aesthetic of this game a little more than Puyo Puyo Party, but that's just preference. I think Puyo Puyo Party has like more detailed sprites and more elaborate like animations and things like that. But I like the cutesy aesthetic of this one. I think it's charming.
Yeah, the one you mentioned, Puyo Puyo Tetris, like that. That actually for me was where I made the connection that maybe it's way too late, but that's when I realized like, oh, that's what Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine was. I was familiar with that game. It definitely took, and for the reasons you mentioned, it was like early in the Switch's lifespan, and there was a demo where you could just play multiplayer of it. So me and my friends would just play that against each other. And it was a lot of fun. So that kind of like turned me on to the series. And now I have like whatever I could get on my current consoles. I download like every version of it, Arcade Archives or whatever they are. The Sega Ages, I think. Yeah.
They also have Super Puyo Puyo 2. It's also on Nintendo. It's not labeled, but it's the Puyo Puyo game on Nintendo Classics, like the online app. It's a SNES one. It's a SNES one. That's Puyo Puyo 2. So if you've played that one, you're like partway of the way to this one.
McKenna, I don't think you have much of a history. I think I'm the one who introduced you to Puyo Puyo.
Yeah, I think we just played it, Puyo Tetris, when we were playing like all the Tetris games and the Tetris likes.
I think that's when I downloaded and bought all the other Puyo Puyos as well, because I was like, well, that one's on. These are on sale too. I might as well get all the Puyo Puyos.
Yeah, but that's pretty much all my experience with it.
Okay, well, cool. We're both. I guess you could say we're both fairly fresh to Puyo Puyo, fairly new.
You guys beat the game, right? Or did you guys clear, or did you guys like just play around with it?
I beat this one on like easier mode.
Draco.
Well, no, I beat there's like in the options you can also change the difficulty settings.
That's right. Yeah.
So I played through all the stories, but I had to bump it down because it is a little bit difficult. Like my history, I'm still like, I have played it now on and off for about 10 years, but it's not, compared to Tetris and some of those other ones, it's not as natural for me.
It's a more demanding game.
Yeah.
It's a more demanding game.
Well, Gamma, what's your, when did you, because this was a game you said you were kind of interested in when I asked you, like, what's your sort of history with the series?
I love puzzle games, like, simple as. Yeah. Like, I just love puzzle games. I love Tetris, love Mr. Driller. I love, I love, Puyo Puyo. Tetris, of course. Like, I don't know if I already said Tetris, but if I did, Tetris.
Yeah, Tetris, of course.
It's one of those things where it's like, even Pac-Mania. Like, I do they're chill. I play them after work sometimes, and it's easy for me to like jump in, jump out of a puzzle game. Whereas for a larger platformer, for an adventure game, you kind of got to sink your teeth into it, take some time. So I like to play like very casually, but I love puzzle games are just kind of like fun. They're fun conversational games. You can kind of put one on, play with your buddies, and you can sort of talk while you play. And they also have like I said, as like an art guy, a lot of them have really charming aesthetics, so it's really easy for me to like get drawn to them. Like I don't feel like I'm gonna be like kind of put off by any like the visuals or anything. Usually it's like you get like lots of fun music, lots of fun characters, lots of fun like designs. I think I consider myself decent to slightly above average at puzzle games. Like I'm certainly the best of my group of friends. I'm not like I'm no pro by any means, but I am decent enough. Actually, it's so funny. I was in preparation. I was like, man, I'm about to hop on this show. I'm going to actually clear normal mode, and I did. I literally did just about like an hour before the show started.
Nice.
Just so I did, because I was like, I might as well give it a go. And so it's a fun game, but definitely, like I said, Puyo Puyo, out of like many of the puzzle games I've played, I think it's like more demanding than the average puzzle game. I think like the things that they want you to keep track of and the strategies they want you to employ against your opponent are slightly different than, let's say, a Tetris, where your goal is to match all the blocks and then clear. The focus is on clearing in Tetris, clearing large swaths of rows of blocks. But in Puyo Puyo, your goal is to, clear colors. And when you clear those colors, there's an emphasis on combos. And if you're not good at lining up those combos, you're going to get decimated by like those like late game opponents, because it's absolutely, some of them, and they all play a little differently too. That's the other thing too. I noticed they all play a little differently. Some of the characters will focus a lot on like chaining combos together, focus on building combos and then chaining them and just like smattering you with like all those nuisance blocks. But then some of them will just kind of like, give you like, some of them will just like hammer combo, just piece after piece. So you kind of have to like adjust your strategy. I think like that level of variety and like the way the computers act, I think that's interesting because I don't typically see that in a lot of puzzle games. Usually when you do see that in the puzzle game, like Susume Tyson Puzzle Dama, which is another N64 puzzle game, when you see it in like something like that, usually it manifests as this character has like a special attack that does a very specific thing, or like arranges blocks in a very specific way. Here, all the blocks do the same thing. It's just some players like stack their blocks a little differently, and that's, it's like that when you're playing against human opponents too.
Yeah, I did find that. So I feel like when you play this game on, like, if you go into the settings to make it like super easy, you can sort of play it brain off, like Tetris mode, where you're just matching colors. But McKenna, I feel like your experience and my experience just earlier when we were kind of refreshing was not dissimilar to what Gamma was describing, where like once you're playing just on like normal and they kick up the difficulty a little bit, it does start to require you to start to set up combos and stuff like that. So I guess what was your I know that's part of it, but what do you think about this game, Puyo Puyo? Like, how does it work for you?
Yeah, it's definitely more difficult to like wrap your head around, because if you want to like chain combos, you really have to think ahead, and if you wait too long, you might get stuff dropped onto you that ruins your setup. So you kind of have to find a balance, and it's I'd look to like set stuff up, but if I'd see like, oh, they're gonna send me a bunch of stuff, I'm like, I just gotta start clearing some stuff now.
It's super fast paced.
Yeah, it's a lot. If you're just playing like Tetris, you just kind of have to you see where you're gonna drop and clear stuff, and it'll just go away. Maybe you want to build up, your lines to create a Tetris, but
like in Tetris, usually
you're not having like someone drop a bunch of stuff on you that's gonna block.
Tetris, you can like conceptualize like building a well to drop your long piece in, and it's not super complicated. But in this, it's hard to. Sometimes it's hard to not like create a match when you're trying to set something up. Like I struggle with that.
The most bothersome thing about the entire game, it's a great thing, but the most bothersome thing about the game's difficulty is, you're like, oh man, I'm about to set up this combo, I got the perfect block, and then somebody sends like a bunch of garbage pieces your ways, blocks your entire like setup, and you're like, no, you gotta like rethink your entire strategy. It's like the most painful thing in the entire world. And what's even more painful isn't necessarily when it's like a big set of pieces, but it's when it's like one little nuisance Puyo falls in a spot where you were going to like put your block, and it was like it's the most tragic thing in the world, because now you got to like rethink your entire strategy. What am I going to do now that one little gray Puyo is like in the way? How can I get that one out of the way? And while you're focused on that one, the player is not stopping. They're continuing. They're going to keep dropping more Puyos on you. And
I watched that.
It gets crazy. I know.
I watched that happen repeatedly.
It's the most painful thing in the world.
Repeatedly, that happened to McKenna earlier today when I was watching you.
And I'm sure you guys spotted this too, but the meta. We all know the meta, apparently.
Sure, yeah.
Like what it is. Well, no. You probably do. When you get those sun pieces, when you get rid of those sun pieces, it just creates like a huge explosion of nuisance pieces to the other person's side. Like
I did pieces, like that.
Yeah. And I think like that's like a lot of puzzle games on the N64 kind of have like a gimmick. I feel like the closest game that I can sort of compare Puyo Puyo's Sun to is like Magical Tetris Challenge. Magical Tetris Challenge. I don't know if you got. I think that
we haven't gotten to that yet, but yeah.
Okay, I'm not going to spoil much of it, but
I have played it a little bit.
Okay, in that game, there's a similar mechanic where what you do on your side hinders the opponent. But in that game, the hindrance is less objects falling on on the other player, and more so now your strategy's been shaken up because the pieces you're getting are going to be completely different. And I think that level of complete, it's like volleyball. It's like volleyball, when you what you create and what combos you pull off. If you pull them off successfully, if you counter those Puyos, you get to send it the other way, and done like maybe not right, but done in a way. If you do it in a consistent, like constant back and forth, it does start to become like volleyball, because now it's like, all right, who's going to fumble the combo? Who's going to drop the ball? And I think that's kind of like, it's a very interesting, like, flow compared to, other games, which might be more score attack based or clear based.
Yeah, we've had a lot of guests that we've had on, especially in like there's a lot of crossover in like the fighting game community. And I feel like there is some of that push and pull to that. It's a little different because the gameplay is so different, but I feel like you can get into it the same way that you can in like fighting games. Like we had Jay on for Tetrasphere, and that was sort of the conversation there about like the versus mode. And good shout on the sun. I feel like that's something that stands out about this game, where it's like, I feel like it does the whole like package. It's a simple thing, but the sun aesthetic tying into like both the storyline and gameplay of this just adds a little bit extra spice to it. Yeah,
I was gonna, it's funny. Puyo, like, it embraced the tropical sequel, like years before Mario did it, before Zelda did it, before all that. And it's so fitting now that I'm thinking about it that we're looking at Puyo Sun on this particular day, because we're expected to have a heat wave tomorrow in my region, and it's already really hot. I feel as bad as the characters in the story. It's funny though, because even though like there's like it's funny because like even though like it's like summer themed, it doesn't play much of a bearing on like all the individual vignettes, like all the it's wacky Japanese humor. Like every single character isn't necessarily affected by like the sun. Like there's the fish gets all of his skin sucked off because he's like in the oasis, and then like there's like a harpy that just sings horribly, and you've got like a maid that like uses you as a broom. It's a really weird ensemble, and it doesn't ever let up in like any other Puyo games. It's just it's wacky, it's silly, but it's a lot of fun. It's just very odd.
I love all the little freak characters. Do you have a favorite one, McKenna?
Yeah, I gotta mention Carbuncle.
Carbuncle, yeah. The star.
Specifically because he only knows how to say one word. And that word is goo.
Hey, I like this guy. I like this Carbuncle.
But yeah, I love all the character stories, and like all the animations look great.
Yeah, it's like what'd you think about like the overall like aesthetic vibe of the game?
I loved it. I love 2D, and we don't see much of it on the N64, so it's refreshing.
Yeah, it reminded me of like our other translation episode we did, Wonder Project J2, where it was like, this was probably not something like that would appeal. They would think it would appeal as much. And we could talk about, I have some review quotes, but for us now in 2026, we're like, we're all about this. We want this.
Yeah. And like most of the N64 games we played have been pretty colorful. And I think that works really well with like a 2D stylized pixel art.
Yeah.
That's here, yeah.
I don't know if you guys are playing on a CRT, but it looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
Like, it looks gorgeous on a CRT. Like I love like the way like the colors, like the dithering kind of like blends. Looks really, really nice.
It does.
Hello, we are Kirby Conversations, a podcast on Kirby along with adjacent subjects like Smash Brothers, HAL Laboratory, and other related Nintendo games.
In each episode, we take an in-depth look at a new Kirby topic, drawing on our decades of experience with the series. I'm Sean Douglas. I'm a writer and podcaster with a background in video game and theater journalism.
And I'm Gigi, the editor-in-chief of Kirby and a big Kirby fan from Brazil. I translate Kirby interviews from Japanese to English and research a bunch of obscure Kirby media.
And I'm Bridget, a longtime fan, commentator, fan artist, and Kirby collector.
Join us for a mix of commentary and original reporting, deep dives into Kirby history, interviews with industry professionals, and more, as together we explore all things Kirby and HAL Laboratory. We're a proud part of the Soundstone Podcast Network, and you can find Kirby Conversations on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
We should have mentioned that third game in the series. So Sun, which that is...
I was going to mention that.
Right? That's a pun. Japanese for 3. So again, it's all tied together. And
the sequel is also a pun. I don't know if we're a bit jumping the gun there.
Oh, what is it? What is it? No.
Yon. Yon is 4.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Puyo party, yeah. So they're all like number puns.
Okay, that's clever. You mentioned we've all mentioned the story now at this point, but that's what I was wondering. What we do get a little bit of like some cutscenes of the intro and stuff like that, and I don't know. I think it's fun. It's pretty simple, especially because a lot of those little vignettes don't tie in. But like, what do you think of like that? Gamma mentioned like the tropical aesthetic. Like, what do you think?
Yeah, it's pretty goofy.
Yeah.
It feels very anime. But you got Satan.
Yes. Yeah.
Who I was looking at the Sega manual calls him the Dark Prince.
That's what he's in America. In America, they localized him the Dark Prince, and in Japan he's Satan. But they were like, we can't use that in America, so they changed it.
They're very careful with their Christian naming and imagery in American media at this time.
Yeah. The graphics play part, but I do think you mentioned like this idea of like they could have localized this and changed like a couple things that would probably be too racy for American audiences.
I think it would have been really hard to localize. Like, I mean, well, let me rephrase. To localize it as in the way that Pokemon Puzzle League was localized, or like any of those games where they're just completely given a fresh coat of paint, it would have taken way more work than it would have been, like, to give like Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine like a little reskin of the Genesis one, just because there's like way more graphics, way more. I think they could have gotten away with it. I think the only issue that like came to mind was what was the character's name? The one that was like, the one who was talking in English. The guy, he's like, honey, like that guy.
Okay,
like, he does like very audibly say like, he swears very audibly. So
that's what I mean though, like that, or like there's a character who gets called a pervert. I think they now localize that differently for the newer games that do. I
had a similar issue with Bangayo. I'm not going to spoil it yet, but I was able to handle it. I think they could have definitely handled it. They could have just called him a creep. They could have called him a creep or like a weirdo or something.
I think
like that.
That's like, what they do now.
Those are kid friendly. And I think the game is generally, most of the games are like E10.
Yeah.
On the rare chance, I think one of them was like T, but this is generally like pretty E10 humor. I think. And plus, also another thing too is that they kind of got away with like, depending on the game, on how big it is, they like in a Nintendo game, you'd be all over that. What the heck? They said this in a Nintendo game, But in like in a smaller game, they could kind of get away with like one or two swears, because in the the ESRB would still give it a K or a E, because they probably wouldn't even play the game the whole way through. So I think, but I don't think there's much that's questionable about it that they couldn't have. And I also realized too, he audibly says that, but I had to think in my head, wait a minute, they backported the audio from a later port. We wouldn't be even hearing the audio.
Yeah, not even a problem. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think there'd be. Yeah, sorry. Go on.
Well, just when I say they could have, I really understand why they didn't go that route. Just because, it probably even probably just the work to like change those things, might have been a lot for what this game could have realistically sold.
I think the bigger filter would have been just the weirdness of it, the weirdness factor. Like, Goemon was kind of like already, Goemon, Mischief Makers, those are already pretty quirky sells. But typically, once again, when they want to sell a game like that has like very like quirky like Japanese humor at this time, they would just like Americanize it. Like look at the cover for like Bust a Move. Like, what is it? Like one of the Bust a Move games. It doesn't have like the colorful like characters from that company. It has like it's like just kind of like a weird screensaver. Yeah, it's like one of them is like it's like a baby in like Europe. It's like I don't understand. Maybe no, that was the PS2 one. But it was really
that
odd.
was that one. Yeah. Well, I think the other thing is, even if they did all that, like we mentioned, the graphics and presentation would have been a thing. And I pulled a quote from the IGN review, and I don't take anything away from them saying this.
No, I know.
But they said under graphics, as expected, Puyo Puyo's graphics are not up to par with other N64 titles. If you've played 16-bit puzzle games, you know what to expect. Flat, colorful images with lots of hand-drawn Japanese anime figures and some basic animation that consists of rotations or blinking eyes. Why on earth is this game not in high res? It doesn't look bad, but it's nowhere near Tetrisphere or Wetrix.
Oh, that's so depressing because like it's a beautiful looking game. Mm-hmm. You know, like if you look at like the N64 could do so much cool stuff in 2D. If you look at like what it's actually doing, like SNES couldn't handle like the amount of color that like this, these sprites are doing. It's a much larger visual fidelity. There's a lot that it's doing that. Like that poor IGN reviewer. But I know 3D was all the rage, and they, if it was 2D, it was old. Out with it.
Yeah, we saw like a similar sentiment, McKenna, with our Bust a Move episode when we were reading the reviews from that, and I sort of get it just because they were like in that case, like by the time that game got ported, it was like 2 years old in arcades, which might not be that much, but at that time, like. There was a lot of it. Like, I think the next Bust a Move game or Puzzle Bobble game was like already out or about to be out. But this mainly what they said was similar to this, which is just like, oh, it's flat and it's 2D. But as we've mentioned, like that's almost a bonus for us now. So like we've loved a lot of the 3D games. Obviously, the majority of the games we played are 3D, but that also has led to a lot of them looking kind of gnarly in that age when like some people are like not sure what they were doing yet. So
yeah, it feels like they're just figuring out 3D, but like they've been doing 2D for a while, so it looks really good.
I think the winners of like the the visual like style race, not even the graphics race, but explicitly the style race, were the ones that kind of understood like the limitations of what they're working with and produce them that still feels timeless. Like the ones that were chasing photorealism, I think those are the ones that started to look very, look a little crunchy by today's standards, but like the ones that like look really, really good in my opinion. I love, Mega Man Legends has like such a beautiful like cell shaded Mega Man 64. Mega Man 64 like a beautiful like cell shaded art style. I'm trying to think of like some. I actually like the way the Tom and Jerry game looks. I like the way the Tom and Jerry.
I haven't played that one.
Like,
okay.
Well, you guys will get to it like way later down the line, but I think that one has some really nice art direction.
Okay, nice.
I like, and then there are like some where it's kind of like Tetrisphere looks beautiful. Like any puzzle game, a lot of racing games look beautiful. Like you look at like the Ridge Racer. Ridge Racer is gorgeous.
Yeah. Like when I was talking about that too, like that early 3D versus 2D, I would make a note that like I do think some of these early games that are more abstract, polygonal, like do look cool. It's just there are also ones, and I'm sure this you could pull any time frame and find games like this, but there are some where it's like legit. We've been like, this is hard to look at.
Paperboy.
Oh, I played that one back in the day. I have not played it since then. Oh,
you guys get to that. I feel so. Paperboy makes me so sad because I can see they're going for like a Tim Burton like kind of janky, like wonky German expressionist look, but it's like really. I feel so bad.
Fair enough. Did you play any of the other? There are like other modes in this game and stuff. Right?
I did play any of those. I don't play them very often, but they're cute. I like the mission mode, like Puzzle Puyo as it's called in like the translation. I like Puzzle Pod. It's like Puzzle Puyo is sort of like it reminds me a little bit of like the event mode in like Smash Brothers, where you just kind of like have to do missions, but it gives you like a guide on how to do it. It's much slower. Mission Puyo, which is kind of like Puzzle Puyo. Like that one's like, I didn't try that one as often. It's like a little spicier, you know, there's no timer, but like the game still gets faster. But you got to complete the objectives like one after the other. I think that one's great if you want like combo practice though. Like that one's pretty good for like practice, but I definitely like it's funny though, because when I play casually, usually when I play a puzzle game, I'm typically playing like what this game calls endless mode. I usually play it endless mode, and I just kind of play, I zone out, you know, I'm just kind of like having a good time, you know. But in this game, for me, my general like experience booting up the game is usually I'll just like fire up with the easy mode and a little bit of the normal mode, and I'll go as far as I can, and then I'll say, all right, well, I made it this far, and I had a lot of fun, and then I'll close it out. I feel like more casually, I play like the story mode than I actually do like the endless mode, which is kind of funny.
Yeah,
compared to like how I do with most online puzzle games.
I think we're aligned on that. That's how I like to enjoy it. McKenna, like any thoughts on the other modes?
I played a little bit of the puzzle mode, and it almost feels like a bit of a tutorial to me. Like it helped me figure out like the concept of creating combo chains, like where to place things. So like when I went back and was just playing the regular modes, I was like, oh, okay, this is how I set this up. But I probably wouldn't, like if I was just gonna play, I'd play story or versus or endless.
I didn't have the patience for that as much, and I found earlier today when we were playing, and it was kind of like giving me a little challenge. I found the satisfaction of I eventually won like the fight that was giving us trouble, and I found more satisfaction in like through trial and error of an actual competition of figuring out how to like make some setups. And I kind of did it on accident a little bit, but I did intentionally try to like set up things, and it paid off, and that was more satisfying than like just, I mean, it's like anything. Like I like playing music, like guitar and bass and stuff like that, but I just hate practicing, you know, like I just want to play. So that's kind of how I am with this too. It's like, oh, this feels like work doing the other mode. So
yeah, I get you. I think the biggest value is like if you're a completionist and you just want to go through and like say, I did it, I beat all the modes. If you like, that's your claim to fame. But outside of that, like it's just kind of like, well, you know, it's fine. I think it's not necessary. I think to enjoy the game.
The mission mode one is kind of fun, but I also, after I do enough of them, I'm like, okay, I'm like ready to move on to the next thing. But
tournament mode is weird.
It is
tournament mode. You guys didn't. I don't know if you guys tried it with like 4 players, but like it's weird. It's like 6. It gives you the option for like up to 16 players to play, but only like 4 players can be human at any given time. I can't plug in 16 controllers to my N64. So what the heck? That's a little sad. I kind of wish, like, I would love like the idea of a 16 player like Puyo tournament where you can like hand the controller to somebody.
Oh, that
okay,
fun.
Yeah. Where you hand the controller to somebody, you know, you get to view like, but no, like it's just all computer players except for the 4 players that aren't. It's a little odd.
That is really lame because we have played games that have that.
Yeah,
where you can set up tournaments, and it doesn't really. We've always felt like it doesn't totally serve a practical purpose for us now. And especially even if we wanted to have a tournament, we could just keep track of it ourselves. Mm-hmm. But I get the appeal to it. So I'm not opposed to it. And obviously playing versus your friends is fun.
What's even weirder is that like you by default, this option is turned off, but you have the option to turn on the computer matches and watch the computer matches and not touch the controller. So it's cool if you want to watch somebody play Puyo Puyo for like 3 hours, but at the same time, and here's my other issue with the game. I love the game a lot, but my other issue, sometimes when you pause, you can't quit. The only way to quit is by having a game over or like a continue, and so you have to like either reset the console if you want to get to the menu, or you just got to get a game over, but there's no way to just pause and quit. There are some games on the N64 like this, and I don't know why this is, and it's really surreal.
You just hit on so many things that we encountered.
I just want to go to the menu
earlier today.
I just want to go to the menu.
What we were in tournament mode, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, how do I get out of this?
Yeah, I was like, I don't think I can quit this. Like, it just, you game over and it just goes to the next match.
It's like, no, you're stuck in
you have to
Puyo
play through
Puyo
all
hell.
of this. I'm like, all right, reset.
I did want to point out, I mean, we didn't even touch upon it in the solo mode, but the game is pretty forgiving. Like, I mean, there are some games, like the Bust a Move games, like, you know, they emulate the feeling of, like, having, like, credits. And I think Robotron does this, too. I think a few other N64 games do this, but Bust a Move especially, like, you don't have infinite continues in that game. You only get, like, 3 continues, and then they, like, boot you back. In this game, you get infinite continues. Now, the game counts, like, the number of continues you end up, like, using after a while. It took me, like, 23 continues to, like, beat Scherzo. Or Scherzo, yeah, that character right there. He's like, the penultimate boss before the Dark Prince. He's the penultimate boss before Dark Prince and Carbuncle. But he is so annoying. It drove me... I had, like, 56 continues total the entire thing. But I did it.
Yeah, that's a good way to handle it. Like where it's like you can continue infinitely, but we'll keep track, and like then you can almost be like, well, can I beat that score? You know, can I beat my continues?
Really,
that's cool.
Dave, you know, for people that love score attack games, I can totally see a lot of value in, like, you know, like doing this. I was never a score attack person personally. Like, for me, just give me a gold medal or like a rank, and I'm good to go. But I don't have a problem with it, though. I do think for the people that want that, it's fine. For me, continuing and just like losing my score, I didn't have a problem with it. Because for me, the satisfaction was just beating the game and just getting to see the credits at the end.
Yeah, and if you want to play on one life, you can, you know, if you want to play that way.
Yeah.
I used to. I'm glad you mentioned that, because I didn't think about it. And it's something early on in the podcast I would really focus on with like fighting games and puzzle games, so mainly fighting games where it was important, like unlimited continues. But then I eventually was like, I guess I don't care. Like, I don't care if I can't beat it. It's fine, you know, as long as I had fun. And then I also was like, or I can, you know, it's not really to the game's credit, but a lot of games I can like Game Shark infinite lives or whatever. So I was like, whatever, either I don't beat it or I give myself infinite lives and retries. But I'm glad you mentioned that, because I actually do prefer like when that is an option in the game. So shout out. Thank you.
I think like when I don't know, I consider myself like more of a casual player when it comes to like certain games. That's like, you know, fighting games by default are like really tough for me. Not much of a, although I do like Mortal Kombat 4. I like the really fast ones, but I'm not very good at I have a few buddies that are really good at fighting games though. And through them, I've played through a lot of really crazy ones, and I've kind of been like, well, that one's very interesting. But for me, like I said, the puzzle games on N64 are like usually the ones to go to. And this one, Puyo Puyo Sun, I tend to return to this one. This is like in like maybe like a top 3 I tend to return to pretty often.
Sure.
It's like no, like I said, it's no frills Puyo. I don't have to. I feel like it's a very it's very clicky. It's very clicky in a way. Now, the one thing I will point out that like definitely separates this from, you know, like the like a Tetris, there's no quick drop feature. Which does make it a little different. Yeah, there's no quick drop feature, which makes it a little different from when like in a Tetris where you can just like drop the blocks instantly. And when your opponents like start dropping blocks quicker than I can, I do wonder like what's happening there. I don't think it's an issue, because I was able to get past them, but it is pretty crazy. Like, it seems like maybe it's a sour grapes, but it seems like they're cheating.
Yeah, wow. I never even thought of that. I'm glad you mentioned that too, because I usually do like hold down to make it like go faster. I don't often quick drop. I know that's probably something you never do,
No.
Even in Tetris, right?
Yeah, I don't quick drop too much in Tetris.
Okay.
I don't do it very often, but there are times where I feel like it's definitely so. Like, I think I know like Magical Tetris Challenge. Once again, that's like the other puzzle game that I really love to play. Like that one, like that's my favorite Tetris on the N64. Like I love Tetrisphere, but I love the Mickey Tetris
for sure. Yeah,
but yeah, like it's that. Now, I believe you can play this game with the control stick, right? I use the D-pad when I play this game. Can you play this with the control stick?
I can't remember. I played with D-pad.
Hold on, I have the game. I have the game like open on the side right. I'm actually gonna test it right now.
I never even considered that because it just seems so like obvious to me. Like play with the D-pad, but you would
64 games in the D-pad. It's another one of those things where like there aren't a lot of them, but when they do show up, you're like, it doesn't look like you can use a control stick in this game. I'm also realizing,
it's one of those filthy 2D games that uses the D-pad. Yeah. So you would have tried it probably, McKenna, right?
Yeah, I think on just like the select the mode, I tried it. And I was like, oh, this is a D-pad game.
Yeah.
Okay. Well.
It is, but I think it plays pretty well as a D-pad.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
I'm more of a. Now when it comes to it, I usually have the preference for D-pad. I don't know why. It just tends to be like there are actually some like hacks out there, specifically like control hacks for existing N64 games that actually swap the controls from D-pad, the control stick, and vice versa. So there's a Yoshi story. I had to find them because they were like hidden away somewhere. But there's like a Yoshi story, like a D-pad hack, for instance. And I feel like that's one of those games. Like for my nephew who struggled, he's older now, but for my nephew who struggled with figuring out like the control stick on the N64 and how odd it was to use that, he was more of a Yoshi story. He preferred the D-pad for that game. So
that's really nice.
Able to find, I was able to find the hack for him, and I think Smash Brothers also has like D-pad support.
Ooh, okay.
So there's a lot of really cool options. I'll try and share them when I get to them. I need to re-upload them to Internet Archive.
Yeah, I feel like I'd be comfortable playing D-pad or control stick. I just like the default way I hold the N64 controller. I'm on the control stick.
Mm-hmm.
So I always try that first, and I'm like, oh, if I can't do this, I'll switch my hand.
I think it's more conventional for everyone to use the control stick because everybody, most of the big games were on the control stick.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of the games that I've been playing for the N64 lately have been like puzzle games and like 2D games, the D-pad is definitely something that I pay like more attention to and just give it more. I also use my EverDrive for they're emulated, they're emulators for the EverDrive as well, which is really cool.
Yeah,
for N64, yeah, somebody did like a whole SNES emulator, and James Lambert, Portal 64 guy again. He did a Game Boy emulator, Game Boy Color, which is really cool, and it works pretty well.
Yeah, we definitely use our EverDrive for Game Boy and NES. It'd be really nice to get Super Nintendo on there.
Super Nintendo isn't like perfect, but like it's amazing considering that for like a very long time it was considered impossible. Like everyone was like, you'll never get like Mario World working on the system, and then lo and behold, not only is Mario World running 60 FPS, but he's also got like Mode 7, like Mario Kart and F-Zero, like just running pretty well, like 40 FPS, which is like amazing for like the N64. No expansion pack necessary.
Okay. Well, Kurt, you're opening up our world here big time, so I appreciate that. Let's see. Anything else you want to say about Puyo Puyo-san before we get out of here, Gamma?
Yeah. So I don't really know how the transition of this, but I do find it interesting that like Compile supported the Act Against AIDS movement. I think that's, kind of neat. It's not often you see, it's in the beginning, like the AIDS epidemic was like a big deal, and they put that in the beginning of several Puyo Puyo games, not just this one. It's kind of like how Miss Pac-Man Maze Madness like also has like, it's kind of like in the insert of the box, there's like a thing about like preventing breast cancer. Like Miss Pac-Man was like the mascot for that. So there's a little bit of that. I'm trying to think about like what else. There's like a lot of like just little things. Like I think the voice acting in the voice acting makes the story fun. I think that's a really great addition. I'm really glad for that Zoinkity was able to add that into the game.
Yeah, that was really nice. The characters, it enhances the characters big time, gives them a lot more personality.
Another thing. Zoinkity's patch says, for anybody who hasn't tried out the game, Zoinkity's patch says the game doesn't work on an EverDrive 64X7. I use an EverDrive 64X7. I've used it for several years, I haven't had any problems with Puyo Puyo 64 or Puyo Puyo Sun. So if it's an issue for you, it also works on summer carts. He just gave an update that allows it to work on summer carts, but I don't recall having any issues, not with saving or with compatibility. So, and this is with several Crix updates under my belt, so I haven't had any issues with that.
Yeah, we play it on EverDrive. I actually don't know what model it is, but it works for us too. So
yeah, I like another weird thing. Little tiny details I love. I love that the difficulty slider is like represented with like the curry. I love the curry slider in the versus mode. It's like and then all the difficulties are like little flavors: sweet, plain, mild, spicy, and hot. I think that's really cute.
Yeah, I do like that. I feel like there's like a huge range of difficulty that they put in here. Like
they
include like the options. Yeah, it's like starts at beginner, very easy, normal, and then there's like 4 or 5 more options after that.
Goes to hard, very hard, mania, and master. That's scary. I'm just gonna stick with normal or below.
It is very good in that regard, though, because like I said, I played through it first on very easy, and I just like ran through it all. It was like not even hard. So I feel like you can like for almost any skill level, you can play this game.
Oh, and speaking of options, you have the options to adjust your controls. It's really weird though, because it offers 6 control schemes, but it really just kind of changes the direction the pieces rotate for each button, the A button, B, and C. I just stick with the default, but they've got like all those options. They're a little odd, but I guess I'm sure the Japanese character, I assume like in Japanese, like there was a character there, and they decided that rotated arrow was the best way to convey that within the text limitation. I'm gonna assume that. I haven't actually seen the game in its original Japanese, but that's what I'm going to assume, because there are a lot of weird space limitations you have to like work with when you're translating a game from like English to Japanese.
Sure, yeah. We didn't mess with that at all. I think we looked at it once and was like, okay, you can change the rotation.
I also like, last but not least, kind of like a great thing, but also kind of like, well, I kind of wish it did more. The music. The music is jaunty, the music is cute. But there isn't really a lot of it, I feel, especially for the story mode. I kind of wish, like, once again, a few other puzzle games on N64 that have, like, different styles.
Yeah.
A lot of the characters, like, have their own music associated with them. Like, I love, like, Magical Tetris Challenge. That game has an awesome soundtrack. This game's got a cute soundtrack. I like the Dark Prince's, like, surf rock theme. He's got a really cool, like, surf rock. I've never seen a final boss with, like, surf rock, but I think that's really fun. Outside of that, I kind of wish there was just a little more for like each of the characters that represented like a personality. But it wasn't enough for me to go like, well, the music's terrible. No, it's fine. It does what it needs.
Yeah, that's a good shout out. I feel like maybe do you also have any music thoughts? I feel like overall it was like played into the game's like aesthetic well. Mm-hmm. It did remind me, maybe of Bust a Move, where it felt like, oh yeah, this feels like a bit limited,
chirpy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's nice. It's a good vibe.
We enjoyed it the whole time. It never got old or anything. Yeah. So, but yeah, I can agree with that. I could see how that could be better, especially with all there is like a lot of fun little details in the game. So it'd be cool if like the music could reflect that a little bit more.
Yeah, but I mean, it like I said, it works. Again, it's chirpy. It's vibrant, it's jaunty. It's the kind of thing that you'd expect from like a puzzle game from this era. And then the final thing that I've got to say, I know I've been dragging it out, but the final thing I got to bring up.
No, please, we gotta get it all out there.
Yeah, last thing. If you like Puyo Puyo Sun, there are several games you're gonna like. I totally recommend like Mr. Driller. Like if you like any Puyo Puyo game, Mr. Driller. And a game that, if you have an EverDrive or a flash card, here's a hidden game that you've probably never tried. Anything from the Alex 64, Tower and Shaft. But weird title aside, it's a game where it's sort of like an upward. It's kind of like Doodle Jump, sort of like Doodle Jump, like the mobile app game, but it's an N64 game, and it's sort of like a puzzle game where you move up a tower. It's not really a puzzle game like the same way. but I recommend it. I think it's a lot of fun, and I think if you like Puyo Puyo, if you like cute visual aesthetics, you'll love Tower and Shaft. That's awesome. What I like, at least. I think it's a fun game.
Good, yeah, good shout there. Okay, yeah, I really appreciate like all the things you brought to the table. It gives us more homework for things to look into as well. So
no problem. And I'll also send you. I don't know if I've already sent it, but I'll send over the archive link of Homebrew. I made a Homebrew link. It's not up to date by this year's standards, but by the standard, it's all up to date up to, I want to say, 2025 or 2024. It's up to date to an extent. It's
love that.
So it's up to date to like July. I don't recall, but I'll share it with you.
It's a treasure trove.
You'll get, yeah, and it's all public domain stuff, so you don't have to worry about like it's like here's a free copy of Mario 64. No, it's none of that.
It's all
public
board.
domain. This is all stuff that you can try out for free. A lot of fun. Lots of really funny little tech demos. A few random videos. Lots of cool stuff.
Okay, awesome. I look forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
Before we wrap it up, McKenna, you have final thoughts on Puyo Puyo-san?
Yeah, I like its style. I like its character. I wanted to just mention that you can change the colors of the Puyo in the options.
Yeah. It wasn't too drastic, though.
Yeah. No, but there's some other, nice little color palettes. Yeah, it's a cute game. Should have gotten it in America.
Yeah, we like our puzzle games, and it's different. It's different from all the other puzzle games we've played. So we haven't had like we've had other genres and stuff where like we've tired of them. And I guess it's not that unusual, but I'm like, we've had 4 puzzle games now, including this one from Japan in almost 2 years on the console. And it's like, I don't know. I guess I don't know how many puzzle games need to be on a console, but I always get excited when we come up to them.
Mm-hmm.
I think N64, as far as like having like games of a certain genre, I certainly don't have a problem with like the puzzle games. Out of like the 393 or 388 out of the 388 like systems titles on the system, I want to say there's maybe like 15 puzzle games, and in America we had less than, we maybe had like about 10 of those. I want to say, I don't recall the exact number.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, there's like 60 racing games. And I'm also counting like all the weird like snowboarding games and horse racing games. 60, that's 1/6 of the console's like library. You got your kart racers, your toy racers, your like straight ahead racers, your mascot racers. You got like all these crazy car games and snowboarding games and plane games, and all of them galore.
And some of them, it's like great, but other ones, well, I don't know if this has come out yet, but we talked about on our episode of Off-Road Challenge. We were like, did this need to happen here? Did this? So
there's one game notorious. It's probably, in my opinion, the worst game on the N64. Worse than Superman.
Ooh.
It's worse. It's awful. It's horrible. It's like, and it's a racing game.
Okay. What is it? What is it? I gotta know.
I think Carmageddon 64 is the worst game on the system. If definitely one of the, if not the worst, I think it's pretty bad. Carmageddon, Superman, Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue. I like that one.
Yeah.
And as far as Japanese exclusives, the Japanese game I hate the most, I do not like. What is it? Like, what's the game that I'm thinking of? It's like it's like Ninja Ramtaro. It's like based off like an anime. But Ninja Ramtaro, it's just like Nintendo Ramtaro 64 game gallery, and it's just it's not even like worth like a Windows like solitaire. It's not even worth like Brick Breaker. It's like it's horrible. It's just nothing. It's 4 puzzle games.
Okay,
it's translated too.
That's rough.
I guess the pachinko machines are also pretty bad too. But I mean, it's just pachinko. People who want pachinko get what they want. They're happy.
1、2、Puyo、3、1、2、Puyo、3、1、2、Puyo、3。
You've given us a lot to look forward to, both good and bad. Now, some of these I have not played, but I always love when people are very. We've had that a couple of times where they're very passionate about upcoming games we have, and it only increases, whether it's good or bad, it increases my anticipation of them. So, really looking forward to that. Gamma, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It was great to get to know you and talk to you. We've kind of talked about a lot of your stuff, but feel free to plug anything you'd like before we go.
I am invincible on social media. You're not going to no one's going to be able to find me. But if you do end up finding me, I'm on N64 Brew. I really just want to shout out everybody on N64 Brew instead. Those guys, N64 Brew. If you want to get into N64 development, Boo342, Rasky, Hail to Dodongo, all those guys, brilliant. N64 Squid, I love N64 Squid. We work together. What else? I do art on the side. I mean, if you find me and you want to commission me, I don't really charge commission prices. I mean, if I do, sure. But if you want to, I draw. I don't know. I haven't gotten into any of that yet because I've been so busy with teaching and stuff.
Sure.
But, yeah.
Some of the stuff you showed me was really, really cool. So
thank you.
Yeah, definitely vouch for you there.
Also, I guess the other thing I'll plug is my Internet Archive account. I'm uploading all the N64 ROM hacks I've found. I've organized them all.
Is it GammaTrove?
Yeah.
On there? Okay, cool.
Yeah, GammaTrove. That's my Internet Archive account. I upload N64 stuff. I have a translation set for Bengayo and AI Shogi 3 if anybody wants to translate them into other languages.
Awesome.
And I'm currently working on a few other translations. I've been busy, but Neon Genesis Evangelion should be done soon.
Oh, nice.
Hopefully.
Nice.
I need to get the audio in the game. I want to get the audio, the English audio. It's from the anime. Most of it is, not all of it.
That'd be so crucial. That'd be so good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well,
if anybody else wants to translate it, it's okay. Go for it.
You won't be mad. Okay.
No animosity. I want to bring that up to other people too. I don't claim it as my own.
I like that spirit. That's very it's good because we're just trying to get these out there to other people. So
yeah,
I appreciate that. Well, awesome. Thank you once again. Thank you for coming on the show. We'll definitely be in touch. You'll be our point of contact for many of these worlds. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty then. Take care, everybody, and enjoy Puyo Sun 64. If you have not played it, please play it.
We implore you, play Puyo Sun.
Yeah.
Please. Otherwise, you can check out all of our stuff, flashback64.com. We got all the other shows on the Soundstone Podcast Network. You can find at soundstone.network. Thank you to our Triforce tier patron, Lee. Thanks, Lee. You can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/flashback64. McKenna, great job.
Great job, too.
And we'll see everybody later. Bye-bye.
Oh, hi. I didn't see you there. I'm Nick McConnell, and you caught me reading the instruction booklet for Street Fighter II in preparation for my weekly stream Instruction Derby, where I take a look at the creative, fun, and sometimes bizarre lost art of video game manuals. Did you know that, according to the manual for Street Fighter II on the Super Nintendo, Ryu was born in 1964, making him 62 years young, canonically? Happy birthday, Ryu. You're looking great. Did you also know that, per the manual for Laser Invasion on the Nintendo, The UN enters a conclave in order to select a new commando? Or did you know that the dancing enemies in Super Castlevania are named Paula Ab Ghul and Fred Askare? These important facts and many more are discovered every Wednesday at noon Pacific on Instruction Derby over at internet website twitch.tv/Nick McConnell, part of the Soundstone Network.
Hey everyone, my name's Darren Hupke. I'm a writer, publisher, and podcaster. My podcast is called Pixels and Polygons. Each week I sit down with a guest and ask one simple video game question. It's a random topic each week and it leads to a fun conversation. You can find it on your favorite podcast platform every Friday, and you can read more about it at pixelsandpolygons.net.